Welcome to Rebecca Sounds Reveille. What a show have I got for you today? Well, I am excited, jazzed, enthralled. With me today, I've got someone who is so prolific in the entertainment field. It is unbelievable. You may already be recognizing the man that is sitting adjacent to me. And if you're not, I'm really disappointed because you, my audience, should know a whole lot about entertainment. But let me go back a little bit because my guest with me has been in the entertainment industry for many, many years. In fact, he has been, oh gosh, I'm so excited about this. He's been in Swans Crossing. He's been a regular on Shameless. He has been in Labor Pains. He has also been in Hallmark, on the Hallmark Channel as a guest in different shows. But, oh my gosh, he's even been, are you familiar with Without a Trace? Yes, you should know him from there. He starred on that as well. And many, many other television shows and genres all across the channels. And you will not have forgotten his face once you've seen him, and you will really be captured by this man's acting work. He is really good at what he does, so much so that many people seek him out to become a better actor and entertainer. And he has worked with so many people, and I could tell you all of them because, well, not all of them, but I could tell you ones that are so known in the industry, but I'm not going to do that. No, I'm going to let him share because I really want him to let out the passion on who these people are. And what an honor not only is it for him to be here, but to share those things with you. And so there is so much to him. He's an actor, an entertainer, an acting coach. He has his own coaching business, but what he shares most is his passion for acting, and that is foremost his primary role. And so without any further ado, with me today, Barry Papick, welcome to the show. I am so excited.
I am so excited to be here. I think this is fantastic.
Me too. There is so much about everything that you're doing, but let's go back because you've been doing acting for so long, over 35 years.
That's right.
I can go way back. So without really, a woman never shares her age, but I'm not even going to ask yours, but let's just go back to, when you first started getting into acting, how did you kind of know this is what you wanted to do?
Well, let me first say that I'm just amazed at how beautiful you are.
Oh, thank you.
You're really gorgeous. And I started acting right when I graduated from college. I graduated from college, believe it or not, with an English degree and a political science degree.
Oh, this is interesting.
And I moved to New York with some friends of mine, and I met a man named Lee Strasberg. Mm-hmm. And Lee Strasberg was just the greatest teacher in the world at the time. And I got into his class, and he really took me under his wing, and I knew that I wanted to be an actor for the rest of my life. And I was in New York at a really fervent time. I studied with Lee, and I studied with Uta Hagen and Stella Adler. And, those were the great names in acting at the time, and it was just the most exciting thing. Back when I was young, we didn't even think about working until we understood the craft. And Lee used to say it takes an actor 10 years to understand the craft. I don't know if that's true. I don't think that's true. But it was amazing to study with Lee, and it was really incredible to study with Uta and Stella and Elaine Aiken. So it was a really great time in New York, and that's what set me off. That's what got me excited about acting.
And there it was. You have the passion, and there you go. You took off. So did you start really getting into acting in theater in New York, or did you start getting roles on shows?
Well, I ended up doing 40 plays in New York. And
Uh-huh.
what I would do is I would do theater whenever I did a movie, and I would take the money from the movie or the television show, and and I put it into theater. I met a casting director in New York, a woman named Phyllis Huffman, who unfortunately is no longer with us, and she cast me in a show called Swans Crossing. I did 65 episodes of Swans Crossing with me and Sarah Michelle Gellar and Brittany Daniels and Mira Savino. It was amazing. It was just the worst show on television, but it was so much fun to do. And I took the money that I made from that, which was a good amount of money, and I put it into theater. And I produced things like Waiting for Lefty. And I was in a play called How Soon Is Now, which was off-Broadway. We did a bunch of off-Broadway plays, did some Saroyan plays, did some Tennessee Williams plays. And just loved being in New York and loved being up on stage.
Mm-hmm. I can feel it as you're talking, and just the passion just from then. Do you still hold that same flame?
I do. The way that I keep that passion is because, well, first of all, I love to act. I've been very blessed in my life. I just love to act. And secondly, I love to work with actors. And I've been coaching actors now for about 25 years. I was walking down the block in New York City, and I bumped into an old teacher of mine, a woman named Susan Cohen. And she was opening a studio with John Strasberg, Lee's son. And she said to me, "Would you like to come teach at the studio?" And I was like, "No, I never want to teach." And she said, just come teach a Saturday class. And I did. And I've been doing it ever since. And it's been amazing. And then I met Gus VanSant, and Gus had asked me to come on his set of Finding Forrester and be the acting coach on the set. So I worked with Sean Connery and F. Murray Abraham and Rob Brown, which was amazing. And then, and I've always worked word of mouth. Other directors heard about me because I worked with Gus, and I started to work on sets, and I started to work with other actors. I've worked with Alec Baldwin. I've worked with Sonia Sohn, who I worked with Sonia for 25 years. She was on The Wire and should have won an Emmy on The Wire. And, she was on Body of Proof, and we still work together today. And I worked with Jamie Foxx. I was hired to coach Jamie on Ray, which we won an Oscar for. So I've been really lucky. I work with a guy named RZA, who's the head of the Wu-Tang Clan. And I do a lot of coaching, a lot of individual coaching, a lot of technique coaching. And, I've been coaching Eric Benet, who is doing a movie. He's an R&B singer. I worked with one of the Fifth Harmony. And it's a funny story. When I wrote on my Twitter one day, just off the cuff, I'm coaching a girl from Fifth Harmony. And I got about 100,000 hits that day. And,
oh my goodness.
And 10,000 new followers.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's been pretty fantastic. And, I just love working with actors. And in the meantime, I still make movies, and I still act myself. I was in a movie called Private Parts with Howard Stern,
yes.
Which was a very popular film. And I was in a movie called Simone with Al Pacino, which was a very popular film.
Let me ask you a little bit about that, because Al Pacino's films are very intense. Was there? Yes. So tell me how that is for you, because you are really very versatile in your roles. And when you go for something that is far more intense, because that really takes a lot, doesn't it?
It does. It was exciting. I'll tell you, Al and I come from the same background. We were both Strasbergian, and we both sort of started in the same place. So it was really exciting to work with Al. He was an icon. The difference was I had just come from doing a movie with Sean Connery, and Sean liked to do 3 takes and get out of there.
Okay.
And Al likes to do 60 takes of everything.
Uh-huh.
So, it was really exciting. People ask me, like, weren't you bored doing 60 takes? And I go, heck, if you could be bored working with Al Pacino, then you're probably in the wrong business.
Like, that is really an interesting thing to think about in an actor's perspective, because when one really wants to deliver a message to the audience in a specific way and they want to really hit home, they're dedicated in making sure that delivery is
absolutely
so specific. And when you're telling me 60 takes, that to me says absolute dedication to making sure that whoever wrote and produced and directed, and now as an actor, I am supposed to deliver this a specific way. I need to ensure that I do that. I mean, this to me is absolutely phenomenal.
It's great. And, there's a difference. Working with a guy like Sean Connery, he comes to set, he so knows what he wants to do. He's very specific, and he does it, and he wants to get out of there. And I think that's great. Going to a set with Al Pacino, he wants to play, he wants to find things. And, so they're both incredibly wonderful. They just try things in different ways, and I loved working with Pacino, and it was just so much fun. It was so much fun to just play with things and try things in different ways and see what works.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I feel sorry for the editors, of course, because they have to go through all of that.
Yes, there a lot in post-production, absolutely. Absolutely. And I could see on someone like Sean Connery, maybe at home, he's taken and rehearsed and studied and done that so that maybe he's not, wasting, and I don't mean that in a really negative connotation, but really ensuring that when he comes on and it's showtime, that he's really delivering.
He's so prepared.
Really delivering. Yeah. And not to say either method is one way or another, but both of them have their own method in getting that. And it's really neat to hear you share this, because we don't see this. We only get the hour and a half or the 2 hours, or if it's a series, then the 30 minutes or whatever. Right. But that's all we see on this side. So I think that this is very fascinating. And you now, not only as an actor yourself, but as an acting coach, both of these things you get to see in a lot of different angles, a lot of different lights.
Absolutely. And, it's interesting. When I was on set with Finding Forrester, I was working with 3 Academy Award winners. And, Sean and F. Murray Abraham and Anna Paquin. And the thing that I found is that everybody wants, a little bit of help. Everybody wants some adjustments. And, Lee Strasberg used to say, there are no great actors. There's only actors who make great choices. And that's all I do is I help actors make choices. And, I lead them into a direction that the script goes. And, hopefully I understand the script better than anybody. I read it certainly more than anybody. And, I take the actors into the direction that we're supposed to go into. And, I've been really blessed that I've worked with great actors, Sean Connery, Dennis Quaid, Rock Dutton, just great actors, Jamie Foxx, who really want, to be directed and want, to find new things in what they do. And, they come to set with one set of choices. I come to set with other choices, and we see what works.
Well, there's 2 shows that I think a lot of people are really knowledgeable about in this age. 2 of them, Malcolm in the Middle and Burn Notice. Tell me a little bit about your on-set coaching there.
Well, with Malcolm in the Middle, I was coaching a couple of the actors, and it was really it was so much fun. It's, working on a sitcom is so different because it's about timing, it's about reversals. So it's really, it's just so different. And then with Burn Notice, I was working with Sonia Sohn, who is just a terrific actress. And Sonia is one who takes, adjustments really well. So she can really be amazing at one thing, and then you give her a little adjustment, and all of a sudden it just opens things up. So Burn Notice was a lot of fun to work on, and we were on Burn Notice for a year. And Malcolm in the Middle, it was just, it was fun, it was silly, it was light. And, so coaching on those were fantastic.
What a contrast. I mean, just all of the different areas of acting that you have been able to not only be involved with, but exposed to, and helped others be able to really expand their acting careers. This has got to be very rewarding for you.
It is. It's wonderful. And, like I say, the reason I do it is because I love actors. And, to see an actor really reach, their ultimate excellence is exactly what I'm looking for. And it's just so exciting. I was the on-set coach for a movie called The Express. And often, I was working with incredible actors, Saul Rubinak and Dennis Quaid, Clancy Brown. And often, it's just a little word here, something there that says, okay, let's just do this a little bit differently. Let's just look at this scene a little bit differently. And it's always really exciting.
So let me ask you, when you were on set, whether it's theater, whether it's on a movie or a sitcom, what do you think the biggest challenge is? Do you think it's set up? Do you think what do you think is the biggest challenge that an actor faces once they're ready right before action? Take one, take two, whatever the case, or 25 or 60, for that matter.
I think the most exciting thing is finding what the director wants. Because, as actors, we're all just pawns in this game. And, whether you're doing a play, whether, you're doing a film, it's the director's vision. And now usually when you're doing television, it's much more of a producer's vision. And when you're doing play, it's much more of the writer's vision. But you still have the director there, and you still want to fulfill, the things that the director, is aiming for. So, the real, I think communication is just so important. And the real trick is to be able to communicate with the director and understand where they're going and what they want. Well, I've been blessed to work with great directors, by the way.
That is pretty interesting to note. And so you, though, are still on the move with your coaching business, but you Absolutely. Are also working on a pilot right now.
I am.
Do tell.
I am. I just finished doing a pilot for NBC, and that was a blast. And I just signed to do a movie in June with a director named Thomas Churchill. And Thomas also wrote the movie, and he's fantastic. We did a movie together last year called Nation's Fire with Bruce Dern and Gil Bellows, and it should be coming out soon. It's really exciting. And I'm just, it's nice to work with somebody that you feel comfortable with, like I feel comfortable with Thomas. We have a shorthand. It's very easy to work as a director and actor with somebody like that because we understand each other. And I'm really looking forward to doing that film.
I am looking forward to seeing what you have coming out and your upcoming film, but you also have a stage play as well.
I do. I have a couple stage plays. I wrote a play called Ruby's Arms, which we're putting up very shortly. And I have an incredible cast, a couple Emmy winners, fantastic cast for that. And we're just raising the money for it now. It's 30 monologues connected by dialogue and 10 songs.
Ooh.
About a piano player who comes to Los Angeles to become a star and runs into some problems. So Ruby's Arms is something that I'm really excited about. I wrote a pilot called Pearl, which I'm really excited about, and we're trying to sell right now. It's centered around an older woman, and there's not a lot of pilots, I think, that are centered around older women, and it's a very female-centric piece, and I really love it. And I'm doing I'll be on stage in May for a project called Homeward LA, where I play a homeless alcoholic who, has sobered up enough to, write to his mother and tell him, where he's been. So it's a really exciting project. They're doing it all over Los Angeles, and I'm really looking forward to doing it.
Well, I'm anxious to see a lot of these things that you have coming out. I mean, let me just tell you, Barry, so in the meantime, while I'm waiting for these things to come out,
absolutely,
I get a lot of Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, YouTube, you're everywhere. I can watch a lot of your past work while I'm waiting for your upcoming work. And if I'm so inspired that I want to get into acting, tell my audience where they can get involved with your coaching.
Absolutely. They can contact me at bpapick@aol.com at any time, bpapick@aol.com. I teach a class on Monday nights, and it's an incredible class, very passionate actors. I really love it. I do all kinds of private coaching, like I said, technique coaching, audition coaching, and coaching when you've already booked something. bpapick@aol.com is an easy way to get in touch with me. The studio number is 818-590-3999, and that's an easy way to get in touch with me. My website is barrypapick.com, and it has a lot of my coaching stuff on there, and it also has a lot of my acting stuff on there. So my acting reels are on there, so you can see who you're working with. And I always say, work with a working actor, because they understand what you're going through on a daily basis. I have a movie coming out next month, by the way, called Bolden, which I was on I was coaching on, and Bolden has been 12 years in the making. And
12 years?
12 years. And
I didn't realize that.
It's not a studio film. It's an individually financed film. It's an incredible amount of money has gone into it. And it's a gorgeous, gorgeous film. I saw the first cut of it last week, and it's really amazing and very different. It's going to be opening on 300 screens in May. And okay. I'm really excited about it.
So on the 300 screens, is it, and it's an independent film, where are we going to be looking for it?
In all of the Landmark theaters. So you'll be able to see it all over the country. And it's got some wonderful names in it. And besides that, it's just a really beautiful film. It's something that's sort of never been done before. It's the story of Buddy Bolden, who invented jazz. And it's just really beautiful. I think it's going to be, Wynton Marsalis did all of the music for it. And I think it's going to be accepted really well. It's very different.
Well, for a movie to spend 12 years in production, that is, this is a very long time, very well thought out, specifically plans. I'm guessing locations and actors, and there's a lot that has really gone into this for something that has been condensed down. So
the director is a guy named Dan Pritzker, and he also co-wrote the film, and he did an incredibly wonderful job. He worked really hard. It was his first film. And he was learning, he had a band called Sonia Dada, and he was the lead guitarist and writer, and just decided that this was a subject that had to be touched and upon, and he did, and he was phenomenal.
What I like about what you just said is this has never been done, and this was a subject that needed to be touched upon. And I really like to share that type of attitude and mentality with my audience, because I really strive in helping people to get out there and move forward with different things. Don't ever give up with things. Don't ever think that you can't. And one of the things this specifically says is that, and the other thing that I really want to point out is with your acting coaching is if you were to talk to the audience now, what would you say to inspire them if they even thought, this is an industry that I'd like to get into, and I'm not sure. I think I could, but, well, I don't know.
I always say this. I say I can make an average actor good, and I can make a good actor great, and I can make a great actor an Oscar winner. And I've done that in the past. And, so I think that acting, if you have a passion for it, it's the greatest living you can make. Now, I think that you have to have a passion for it. I think acting is a lifestyle. It's not just a career. So if this is something that you've wanted to do, you should try it. I have somebody in my class. He's from Israel. He was a businessman. He always wanted to be an actor. And he's become a successful businessman, and he decided that now is the time. I also had a guy in my class whose face you would recognize. He worked all the time. He was Andy Warhol's private photographer, and he was also a photographer for Interview magazine, and he decided that he wanted to be an actor. And actually, Alec Baldwin sent him to me, and he studied with me for 10 years and worked on every episodic you can imagine, and a couple huge films. So if it's your passion, if it's something that you love, then you should really try to do it. It's a tough way to make a living, but there's nothing more exciting.
I would have to agree with you. I know about Hollywood. I know about entertainment, and it can be very, very exciting. And I also know about going after your dream and your passion, and merging those two things, I would have to agree with you on. So I want to thank you so much for being here, Barry. And I really want to ensure that the audience gets an opportunity to connect with you. So I'm going to ask you to share your information again.
Okay. You can contact me at bpapick, B-P-A-P-I-C-K, at AOL.com, or 818-590-3999, or barrypapick.com. And if acting is something that you've thought of, or something that you love, come see me, and we'll make it work.
Barry, this has been an honor and a pleasure. I am so glad to have you today.
Rebecca, this was so much fun. I can't believe that it's over. I look forward to talking to you again.
Likewise, so much. I will have you back. Believe me, I'm going to.
I look forward to it.
Pulling you. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in. This has been Rebecca Sounds Reveille. Don't forget to share this with all of your friends, family, coworkers, everybody you know on social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or every other social media out there. Share this and share your passion. Get connected. Welcome to Rebecca Sounds Reveille. I am so excited today because with me, I have got somebody all the way from Canada who's a top entertainer and comedian. Oh yes, he's been entertaining all across Northern America. Oh gosh, for at least 20 years. Yes, at least 20 years. He's appeared live with Kelly and Regis. Yes, if you have tuned into that, you may have even seen him. And I hope that you have. If you happen to have missed it, you don't want to miss today's show, because I've got to tell you, he is an incredible entertainer. And not only that, but he has his own show. He's actually been having his own show for many, many years now, and has won awards for what he's been doing. He's had even back in 2015, had already hit his 8th season. So it's probably at least, he's going to tell us how many seasons he's in now, because I can't even count how many that's been now, but I would say that's almost, 12 now or something. But at any rate, he's performed all across Northern America, and he's been singing in comedy shows. He's done Elvis, Dolly Parton, Sonny and Cher. Let's see, Tina Turner. Oh, and I would love to see that walk, but I don't think we're going to get him to do it today. But at any rate, without any further ado, with us today is Joe Crawford, all the way from Canada. Welcome, Joe.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm ecstatic to have you on the show today. That's how I'm doing. I have so many things that I have to say.
Oh, geez.
Yes, because I've heard so many good things. And so let me first start with, you are a radio show host. You have awards for your show, and how many seasons has it been already that you have had your show?
Yeah, currently we're right now in our 12th season, just about a few more months left to do. But yeah, we're in the middle of our 12th season right now.
Mm-hmm. See, this is incredible. That's a lot of seasons to do. A lot of people don't understand how long a season is, and that's a lot of episodes of being on air. And
Absolutely.
A lot of guests and a lot of research and a lot of comedy and a lot of information that you have to deliver to your audiences. And it's a lot of work to do that and to stay on air and to do it well and to do it in a way that you have done, which has launched you into really hitting it big in a lot of ways. In fact, you have even been doing performances at a casino.
Yeah, basically that was singing with Regis Philbin at the casino here locally. A lot of entertainment at the Fallsview Casino here, and that's where I get a lot of our guests from as well to interview on the show. And if they don't come to Niagara Falls, that's fine as well, whether they have a movie or a book or comedy act that they're doing or tour or whatever the case may be. But but I'd say about a good 25-30% of my guests from the Joe Show are actually acts that show up at the casino. And then I ended up singing one year with Regis around Christmas time it was, because we did a couple Christmas songs there. I
absolutely love it. How did you get started in singing?
I got into music when I was 8. So that's going back, I'm almost 30 years. I'm 35 this year. And then just musically into piano playing. And then that was happening at the age of 10. And what happened was I was actually started singing while playing about halfway through. So maybe about 13, 14 going through. And then actually doing singing comedy shows is when I was about 18 years old. So I've been doing that for almost going on 15 years almost now there. So, yeah.
This is pretty neat. How did you end up combining your talents and getting gigs with celebrities? Because a lot of people are like, okay, I would give anything to do that. And how is it that happens?
Yeah, well, this is it was pure luck to sing with Regis for that one there, and a little bit of meeting him. I ended up meeting Regis a couple of years prior to that at another location here in Canada that he was performing at, and had a drink with him and talked for about maybe 15-20 minutes, and then at that time told him what I did and do in that. And fast forward a few years, and then he is performing near my hometown, and end up bringing a package. I just recorded a Christmas CD and a photo of me and him, if he remembered who I was, and gave that to the venue to say, look, this is for Regis, and he's expecting it. But he wasn't expecting it, so I told a little white lie there, just a wee little white lie. But then anyways, what happened was they gave it to him, and I was in the second row from the stage, and Regis is stopping to take a drink of water in between speaking and singing. And I just yelled out, "Hey, Regis, Joe Crawford loves you." And he said, "Oh, hey, Joe, I remember you. I got your stuff in that. Why don't you come up on stage?" And then we started from there, started singing. So it was kind of a little pure luck, and also meeting him a few years back as well.
But it sounds like persistence. I mean,
yeah.
You were really getting that out there and following up. And a lot of people, they tend to forget that follow-up is important. And you can follow up in a lot of different ways. And that really is neat. And then you went from there to, in 2007, creating your show.
Yeah, the Joe Show. So I worked in terrestrial radio, and I went to school for broadcasting and television and radio and film, and then majored into presentation and that part, and worked in a terrestrial radio station I was there for about a year and a half, left them due to personal reasons. My grandma got sick, one family car, couldn't drive out of town. So basically I was like, what can I do for my own radio show or figure out. About 12 and a half years ago, there was an audio blog site that would allow you to do a half-hour, once a month kind of deal for free because I was cheap. And so I was like, all right, so this is good. Once a month, half hour, why not? And the same thing with persistence is that even though I was just starting out, I got lucky. I got the amazing Kreskin on in the first season and Howie Mandel, where I only had listeners back then of, if I was lucky, in the triple digits of like hundreds of people. And so I'm like, oh, this is good. This is neat. And I started gaining some more listenership as some guests came along, how they decided and say, yeah, we want to go on my show. I guess I really pitched the show very well to them that interested into being a guest. And about 4 seasons or 4 years, so a radio station out of the States messaged me and said, we love how you conduct yourself with the celebrities and your interviews and things like that. We would like you to be with us. And I said, oh, okay, no problem. And they said, well, we're not quite ready to launch yet. It was a strictly internet radio-based radio station. And I said, okay, well, whenever you're ready, let me know. Then I had the opportunity to interview Alan Thicke, John Tesh, and a Canadian musician by the name of John Sands on an on-live location. And these interviews were going to be done over the phone, but we were going to be on live location with a business. I was going to do a show as we mingled that all together of entertaining. And I got a hold of the radio station and said, if you can get me up at this date, this time, to be ready to go, I'm yours. And about in that 4th season, or just about the end of 4th season, beginning of the 5th season, I think it was, and they had me up and running, and I've been with them ever since. And I've gone from weekly to I've done 5 nights a week. I've done 1 hour a week. Now the Joe Show's in its 2 hour once a week with repeats 4 times a day. And then I've now almost am at, with all the shows collaborated together, almost at about 400 shows that I think by the end of this season, which will be towards the end of June, we're looking at about maybe just shy about 4 or 5 episodes of 400 episodes. So, yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And a lot of times I don't think people realize that, I mean, terrestrial radio is a great platform, but internet radio has really taken off by leaps and bounds. In fact, that's what got me started and it's kind of the same how I got started. I was going to the studio and I was like, okay, well, I can't afford studio time, but I ended up paying for airtime at one point from home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I was like, I just can't do this, but I still need to get my message out there. And then, things just kind of happen, but yours is doing really, really well, but you've got a lot of talent behind what you do, impersonations. Are you doing a lot of this on your shows?
The impersonations of that I don't do on the radio show per se. It's more of a video thing. And if people go to my website, joecrawfordlive.com, they can see a little demo reel there of 10 minutes of a little touch of everything that I do there. But yeah, a little quick plug. I'm good at doing that too. But yeah, so the Elvis and the Dolly Parton and that with the costumes, they're all musically done to go see the singing comedy show. The radio show, not so much, because there's so much to fit in 2 hours with guests and that. And this is, like you said, to internet radio / satellite radio. One of my favorite people that I love that does interviews is Howard Stern. Not so much, the uncensoredness of it all, but the lengths of them. They can be 70, 85 minutes, and it's indulging and informative and all that stuff. Where the Joe Show, we kind of do that as well. Okay, we're restricted now to 2 57-minute hours because of the news at the top of the hour. But then whatever is not able, because I had to edit it out, will then go up as a podcast archived afterwards on iTunes and iHeartRadio. So the Joe Show, yeah. So if I did an interview with you, which I want to have you on my show, we could do an interview for like 35, 40 minutes and maybe only 28 minutes be used of that on the actual Revealing Talk radio station. But then you go to the archive section afterwards, you'll actually hear the whole full interview with Rebecca and not miss anything of everything. So, yeah. So it's beautiful.
That's really neat. That's actually a really neat thing to do. I don't know how many stations actually do that, where they end up playing a certain amount and then you can get the archive show. I mean, a lot of times so much is lost.
Yeah.
And another thing that you mentioned too is that you go and you have the content and it's nonstop. I can't tell you how often radio show hosts or hosts in general will struggle to reach the 2-hour mark. They have a slot of a 2-hour show and they're really struggling for content, and they're really struggling, and it kind of sucks. It's sad to say, because you can really, really make a show drive home an audience and hit them with inspirational things, with comedy, with information that will really be pertinent to some of the things that will help them, be more educated about something or whatever. And you're doing it. You're making things happen. What do you think is the best part about what you're doing? I mean, out of all of it.
Oh my goodness. Well, I gotta say there's a little bit of perks. There's two things actually. So one of them being a little bit about perks. We just did an interview in the first week of April with BJ Thomas, and the guy who sings Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head and Hooked on a Feeling, that artist. And he's coming to perform actually towards the end of the first week of April. And he said, "Are you coming to the show?" I said, "Well, yeah, I'm coming to the show. I'm actually able to get to see," because sometimes I get to see them, sometimes I can't because other commitments and that stuff. And they're like, "Well, I want to shake your hand. I want to meet you. I want to say thank you in person and that." So getting to see them before, after the show, and a photo opportunity or whatever we can do with the Joe Show, and they're very more than happy to do it. Most of them, for the most part, is one of the greatest things to be able to be a part of a perk. The other thing is that there are, and I actually did an interview with someone in this season where it's shows or TV shows, or even could be books that I don't read, or could be something I would never even heard of before, whether it would be a song or music. There's so many independent artists as well that are very, very talented that I would have never heard of, and being turned on to their music because their PR people are connecting with me to get them on the air for an interview to play their single and that as well. And to know that there's this talent and this great information out there of a TV show or whatever it is that I would have never came across before. And now I'm listening, and maybe they're even in my playlist too.
I love what you're saying, though. It's so true, because there's so many wonderful people out there, and we truly can miss the boat. And it is amazing when somebody reaches out to us in an area that we didn't know, and we've allowed to expose ourselves this way, either through a PR agent or through a letter that we've received from them, a book that, like you said, or even some music. I recently received something for our network, and I just was completely blown away by the artist. And I just thought, wow, I mean, would have never guessed. And it's refreshing. It gives you new perspective. It's inspirational. It is really neat. And I'm really glad to hear you say that, because we take for granted sometimes the world that we live in. We don't realize how much other subcultures and cultures are out there that can really, really brighten our world.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love that.
Well, even too, like I've experienced this, and I still do it sometimes like this too, where a PR agent will be an agent for multiple people, and one big celebrity, say, that's really, really big, and then the ones I've never heard of before in that nature. And so I just had a music PR agent say to me, and I forget who I was asking for, it was a while ago in this past season, but they said, "Well, no, you can't interview that person right now. They're fully booked. But I have 10 other musicians that I also am an agent for." And I've never heard any of these. Uh-huh. And the musicians were just as talented if it was that big other one celebrity that agent has. So I would have never came across. And because I said, yeah, I would like to interview them, I think they were shocked or whatever else. But I don't care as long as you're talented and you have a good story to tell, and that the product, whatever you're doing, whether it's TV show, music, whatever it is fantastic and a good message to it or whatever, positive in it, then yeah, I was like, absolutely. And got turned on like to 10 new musicians who are now on my playlist.
See, I agree with you 100%, and I love doing that. And I think, too, it brings realism to different shows because it's not this, facade out there. You've got real people doing real things, and that inspires people to be able to get out there and do things that they didn't think that they might reach the bar. You know, like, okay, well, I could never do that, or I'm not good enough, or maybe I shouldn't try. But it gives people that little extra oomph, like, hey, I can do this too. And really, they actually have a talent or a good message, a good story, or whatever the case may be. It needs to be heard. And so I love what you're saying. This is really neat. How is it for you bridging you've got two different countries here. How is that bridging the two for you?
Yeah, so it is kind of neat. I never would have thought. I remember back when I first started even in the boat, maybe 3 or 4 years into the station, where it was like Canada was my most listeners, and then America was second, and the numbers were always big in Canada. The number was big in U.S. too, but Canada was always on top, number one. And then that day when it switched, when U.S. was, I'm like, I'm losing Canadian listeners now because I'm still Canadian and that stuff there. But the thing is that obviously, and I never clued in, I don't know why, because I'm not great at math, but we only have 30 million and people have 300 million. So it's more obviously like Canadians. But yeah, so that the listenership has been so great that I wasn't losing Canadians, I was getting more Americans because I was getting more American talent. But because, I don't know, further northern Canada, we're pretty good with the listenerships across border country all along of the whole nation of Canada into the States, and then of course all down in your West Coast and East Coast and southern states there too. But because the stations are so similar, so like your major networks like NBC and CBS and stuff like that, the TV shows we're still seeing the same shows that's being aired on the major networks. Okay. So it still can relate that way. And then even too, it works out where I've had a Canadian author who has been trying to break into the American market and trying to get through American customers, and now with being interviewed with our help, finally getting that little bit of exposure, and then hopefully can build on that to find a contact down there in the States to be like, look at it, I now have American sales. And it's nice to know that we were that little push or help for that author, say. And I know that happened actually a couple times over the years too.
So lots of opportunities for both you and your guest by being able to be dual country. This is pretty neat.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, which is really neat, because you made a mention in the intro that I've won some awards, the Heritage Awards from the Artists Music Guild, and that's down in North Carolina. I never ever, and still to this day, have ever performed in the United States, but because now the power of the internet and what is able to be done, we were getting these American, and that's how I ended up nominated for, first of all, I was nominated for the radio show for Best Radio Host. Mm-hmm. And then people look into it and they see on my website, then they see the comedy part and the entertainer part, and then got nominated for Best Comedian and won for Best Comedian and Best Radio Talk Show Host. But again, I never was down in the States and performed, except for the couple times I went down for the awards show. I never performed. I just went down to be a part of it and that. But again, I would have never had that exposure if it wasn't for the internet. And I can still do what I'm doing through the internet and not have to worry about getting a green card or anything else and that stuff. I can still, because I come to the States quite a bit. I have family in the States and that stuff, and I do love to border shop. You guys have better variety taste that we do here in Canada, but anyways, that I do go to the States quite a bit, and I always get questioned saying, do you entertain here? And And I say, well, no, and they don't believe it. They go, this is the whole of their market. I go, well, I got my market in Canada, but I have other way to get to the States too. And like your show and being able to do videos and that, it's a really great big help. And with the radio show too.
I absolutely love it. And I love what you're doing. You have a lot of fun. I think your reach is fantastic. And I would love our audience to be able to connect and see what you're doing as well.
Yeah, so and I appreciate that.
I really would like that, because I think that, I mean, making people laugh is really something special. And I think that my audience really needs it. I really encourage my audience to find something that they can do to help them move forward. And as soon as the show is over, in fact, sometimes even while they're watching, but for right now, after the show, in this case. So if today they could go and find a way to laugh and then, find some joy in their day. And if it means that they're tuning into you every day and they're being able to laugh. And I mean, this is an important thing, because it really changes the perception on how they look at day-to-day things, especially a lot of negative things that come in. And there's a lot of things going on in our world that really can keep people down, and I don't like that. So let's give them all of the information on how they can contact you and see your shows.
Yeah, absolutely. And to add on that too, I love the fact that even when I get to entertain, that you don't know in the audience who's had a bad day or what ended up in that person's life, what was going on of that nature. And so then usually at the end of the show, not usually, but sometimes at the end of the show, I had someone come to me and say, you know what? That made me laugh. I got away for like 90 minutes or that 60 minutes, and you made my day brighter, and thank you. And those little moments there, and even doing the radio show that or listening to an interview, if it gets them out of that funk, that bad mood, or whatever this case may be, that's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, and making people laugh and enjoy their time while they can let it pass by. But they can hear the Joe Show and see me. Everything, the central base is JoeCrawfordLive.com, JoeCrawford, like Cindy Crawford, but no relation, live.com. And then there they can follow along and see with the Joe Show. We have a Joe Show tab, and the Joe Show ends up playing there through our player. And then there's also an archived section that's hyperlinked that people can check that out and hear all our past shows over the past, since I think season 10 we have up there right now, that the database was only allow us. Yeah. So, and then of course, Facebook, all the social medias there. So I have Facebook, I have Twitter, the Joe Show page is there as well. And then also too on Instagram. We do here in where we're located in Canada, in the Niagara Falls area, that every Monday through Friday we do a 1-minute warrior weather update. Within that, we also add in, don't have to even be from the area, we add in, this is a play on words, get your mind out of the gutter right now. It's called a Daily Dick of the Day, DYK, did you know? And it's, yeah, so there you go. That's why I say get your mind out of the gutter. And so that there's always a fun fact on there. And then we do end up giving away prizes as well. And you don't have to be from Canada or specifically from where we are located in the Niagara area. You can be in the States too. We've given away cash prizes and other tangible prizes that are in your hand that you can actually win, and paraphernalia too, of shirts and mugs and Joe Show caps and stuff like that. So it doesn't matter where you live, the Joe Show is accessible and available through JoeCrawfordLive.com, and click on everything that's there, the social database, and then everything of me anyways. Click on me, basically.
I love it. I love it. And I want to thank you so much for being here today and sharing with us a little bit of things about yourself, and some things to also help us get a little bit of a laugh today. And thank you.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And just before we go, I should say that the Joe Show can be heard also on Revealing Talk Radio. That's the actual radio station. And Perfect. So they do revealingtalkradio.com every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern, and repeats 4 times a day. They can check that out. Rebecca, I greatly appreciate it. You're a darling. I'm going to get you on my show before we end for the season to talk with you and turn the tables around, because usually I don't get interviewed that much. So this is probably like I can count as many times I've been interviewed in my life on one hand. But I'm going to turn the tables on you and have you on my show.
Well, I am so honored that you're here because, I mean, I've been just dying to talk to you, and I've been really excited about today's meeting. And I wanted our audience to be able to connect with you because, like I said, I really want people to leave with the ability to go and laugh and be entertained and something a little bit more uplifting. And a lot of times we give a lot of tidbits for, inspiration and things like that, being that that's the goal of my show, is to help people have healthier, happier lives and things like that. But the big thing is we need things to help keep us laughing. Laughter is the best medicine. And you right now have the medicine in the cabinet, Joe.
Just call me Dr. Joe.
All right. So thank you again. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in today. You can go to joecrawfordlive.com. Definitely tune in. All of those links too will be with the article that is shared with this video. And I'd like to ask you to make sure to get this out to all of your friends, family, coworkers, and even those you don't know. Share it to all your extended friends and family and ask them to do the same. We'd appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in today, and make sure you get a little bit of laughter going in your world.